What's going on, everyone? So James Harden got a offer for 900 million from Saudi Arabia after the Neymar Jr.'s lucrative contract, and this is kind of like what they're doing right now, right? They're just throwing a ton of money at ton of different players in various different leagues, and just trying to kind of overtake and disrupt just sports, right? And kind of become a name in sports. And James Harden getting a $900 million contract offer is like almost 10 times what he's making now. And you look at it, you're just like, wow, like that's ridiculous. And you look at the situation that he's in with the Sixers, and it doesn't really seem that far fetched that he would do something like this. Because here's the problem. So, James Harden, if he doesn't report to training camp, the Sixers can block him from becoming a free agent next year. So he would have to be stuck, or he has to show up to training camp. And Daryl Morey plays hardball and whatnot. Like, does James Harden just say, all right, fine, I'm just going to retire and go take that contract in Saudi Arabia? Like, keep your money, keep your 32 million. You don't want to trade me, you want to play these games. You think this is a mess? Fine. Keep your money. I'm going to retire and I'm going to go to Saudi Arabia. I wouldn't put it past James Harden, right? Again, this is the guy that has done whatever he had to just to get out of the situation he is in and prove a point. And you're not talking about him retiring and threatening retirement to just go sit on his couch. No, he would be getting literally 10 times the amount of money that he'd be getting elsewhere. Right? Now, is that something that would he look at it and go, man, like I could take a year, go play Saudi Arabia, or go play a couple years in Saudi Arabia, and then, come back and sign where I want, right? Would Saudi really be willing to do that, right? Or would they be looking at it as like, no, we'll give you this money, but we want you to sign long term? Like, how does this go? But look, they throw around billions and hundreds of millions like it's nothing, right? They throw it around like it's, a vet minimum contract in the NBA. And I mean, you can make an argument that this gives James Harden some genuine leverage, right? Because he could easily just tell Daryl Morey, like, all right, I'm out, right? Like, we got the clarification that James Harden he wants to be traded, he wants to go elsewhere, and the whole liar comment was because Daryl Morey said he was going to trade him immediately, and he didn't. James Harden was upset about that. He felt slighted by it, felt some type of way. All right, I think it's ridiculous. Everything takes time, right? Like, even if Daryl Morey was actively working his tail off, which he said he was. He said, we tried to honor the trade request, but the Clippers don't want to give up a bunch, right? James Harden already tried to play the I'm going to go elsewhere card, and it blew up in his face, right? He thought the Houston Rockets were going to come and give him an offer, and he would be playing for the Houston. And guess what Houston said? They said, nah, we're good, hard pass. You stay where you're at. And decided it was better to overpay Fred VanVleet, overpay Dylan Brooks, overpay several players. That was better than actually going and giving James Harden a contract. I don't know. I just, like, James Harden isn't the guy he once was. He's already out here telling China that he's going to play for them one day and that they deserve it and whatnot. Like, it feels like something James Harden would do. It feels like Daryl Morey. Look, Daryl Morey, he has an ego. He's been known for that around the league, right? He's a guy that likes to, like, prove, and play the who's got the bigger one. And I could see him trying to draw out the James Harden thing. He did it with the Ben Simmons thing, right? And just try to play hardball. And how does James Harden get out? Right now, of course, he could just ride out this season and just say, all right, fine, like, I'll just play this year and try to be as disruptive and just a headache as possible. But Daryl Morey, he's not out there playing the game, right? So, like, does Daryl Morey just say, that sucks? Like, you can pout, you can cry, you can do whatever you want. I don't care. I'm not trading you. Unless it's for something that I actually want. and that actually makes sense. So sorry. Implode this season if you want. It's not a good look for you, which it wouldn't be, right? Like right now, James Harden knows, look, somebody is going to give me a contract, right? Next year, I could sit on the bench and just completely refuse to play, and some team will give me $20 million a year, right? Like on a prove it deal. So I don't think he's worried about that. But does he really want to ride it out this year? Play hardball, not get paid, because the Sixers are going to garnish his wages or whatnot, right? And just does he want to just destroy his reputation and all this stuff, or does he look at it as like, I'm not happy with the Sixers, I want out of the Sixers, I'm just gonna leave, I'm gonna retire for a year, and then I'm gonna go keep your money, go play for the Saudis, I'm gonna make 10x the amount of money, I'll play for them for a year, and then I'll come back and play in the NBA, and we'll just go that route, right? Like, you want to play hardball? You want to play who has the bigger one? Well, guess what? I was just offered my escape route, right? I just got my escape plan, and I mean, I don't think it's that far fetched. I really don't. That he just says, fine, like I'm done, right? Like James Harden has shown when he wants out, he will do whatever it takes. I mean, this is a guy that reports were coming out that he was wearing a fat suit. I mean, we don't know for sure if that was ever really the case or not, but he was so bad and there was just so much just chaos going around him that there were literal reports that he was wearing a fat suit. He did everything he could to sabotage that Houston team. He was making lazy passes. He was only literally just showing up on the basketball court so that they couldn't find him and they couldn't take his money, right? So he could say, hey, I came to work, right? It's like, it'd be like an employee clocking in and then just saying like, hey, I'm here. I'm just going to sit right here. It's like, what? Like, it's like, yeah, well, I'm here. Like, you want me to show up? You don't want me to miss work? I'm not missing work, but I'm not going to work today. I'm just going to sit here and collect this paycheck. That's basically what James Harden did. And he did the same thing with the Brooklyn Nets, right? He didn't like how Brooklyn was structured and he didn't like how, Kyrie Irving had all this power and they never like reprimanded him. And it was just, so what did he do? What did he do? He just pouted and cried and threw a tantrum and then ends up going to the Sixers. And the same thing is happening all over again. And now he's crying and he's pouting and he's telling like high school reporters and stuff like that. Like, it's becoming a circus at this point. It is absolutely ridiculous. It's a total circus. But how do you continue? What's your way out? Saudi Arabia just said, hey, we'll give you $1 billion. Or close to it. About as close to it as it gets, right? It's like, hey, that sounds pretty good to me. Let me go there. Let me go play for a year, right? Like, I wouldn't be shocked if that becomes at least a threatening tool, right? At least a leverage tool. Maybe he wouldn't do it, but would he use that as a way to kind of force Daryl Morey's hand? Kind of talk to the Saudis, maybe get a contract drawn up. He doesn't have to necessarily sign it. Get a contract drawn up, go in and be like, last chance, dude, trade me or I'm leaving. Going overseas and you get nothing from me. It's a pretty interesting scenario, right? James Harden just says, hey, because he could just say, no, you know what? I decided to retire. Keep the money, it's yours. I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna make 10x what you're willing to give me, right? I don't know. It's crazy, but it's crazy enough to work, right? What's to say? Crazy like a fox. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think that this could be a pool, like a power play by James Harden? Do you think that this is something that like he could use to kind of leverage? Do you think, he wouldn't do that? He wouldn't go that far? Again, I mean, he's gone pretty far 3 separate times or 2 separate times. right? And he's already causing chaos right now for the Sixers. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't put it past him personally. But how do you feel? What are your thoughts? Love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments.